there's a comment someone said, you know, at this point, this is when you drop all your strategy and focus on survival. And my feeling is this is a time to think about your strategy, your company strategy, because this is a time to keep everything in vision. You know, this is a time to make sure that whatever it is that you had planned to get to, you're adjusting and focusing everything towards that. But strategic planning, I've done this for a number of years, and mostly has been with these business membership organizations, those are associations and that kind of a thing, and a few corporates, and now I've been doing a lot of it for roads. And for our small businesses, I would start by just defining it as a process of documenting and establishing a direction for your business. So it's a process of assessing where you are. It's a process of assessing where you're going. And a plan gives you a place to record your mission, your vision, your values, as well as your long-term goals and action plans that you use to reach them. So for any business, having a strategy is very vital, and it defines a plan for moving from where you are today to where you want your business to be in the future. On a more tactical level, it's having a clearly articulated business strategy is essential to being able to prioritize, to build consensus, to make decisions, and assess progress towards your goal. So to put us in a frame of our discussion today, I'll just start by giving a small analogy. And I normally like using this one because it helps me refer when it gets to a point in discussion where something is not understandable. And it's about a holiday. I know we all would want to have a holiday right now. And I will not take the risk of using a holiday destination that is out of Kenya because I've not traveled for the last few months due to the lockdown. So I wouldn't want to mention somewhere and get some bits of contradiction because so much has been changing. So I'll just use a Kenyan example. I'm assuming those who are not in Kenya are conversant with Mombasa. The idea was to go to Mombasa, think about the long beaches, the warmth, the cold drinks, the relaxation, everything that is Mombasa fun. Now, not the current Mombasa, no, because so much is happening in Mombasa and it has been locked down and everything. Now think about the holiday Mombasa that we've all gotten to know. So Mark checks his bank account, he has some money and pop, off he goes. So he has no travel plans. So he makes decisions along the way and looks for the cheapest option sometimes, and the journey can actually get one. Well, he tries to use a train. It has been booked. You have to pre-book, so it is full. Flights are full. It's around that good time when everyone is trying to go for a holiday, so it settles for something like a bus, you know. And if they had planned better, they have used something that was a bit much more comfortable. Or maybe there was an airline that was actually running an offer for those who are planning in advance. So he's in the bus. Then somewhere along the way, well, the bus gets a flat tire. So let me not get into that scenario. Or he goes somewhere along in one of those nice places like a place called Boy, and there's a demonstration on the road. And, you know, another scenario, and you just can't, you know, you can't start getting to the details of that. But eventually gets to Mombasa for his holiday. So he lands in Mombasa. He has no idea which side to go to Mombasa, whether the north, whether the south, for the good. So he says, I'll go to the south. He didn't have enough money to begin with for the holiday. No, he just upped and went for the holiday. So get some cheap option, but there's no beachfront. Well, he finds a way to enjoy his holiday, right? Because there's a beach and there's everything. But, well, it is not what he had in mind. Now, let's look at the other end. Now, here we have Jane. So Jane decides she wants to have a holiday, just like Mark. She visualizes how it's supposed to be, you know, the beaches, the everything. So she already has the destination very well ingrained in her mind. So what does she do? First, goes down to start checking out. No, I want to go to Mombasa. I want to go for an awesome holiday. So the focus is just the holiday, not so much on first the dream, the destination. So she looks around, sees, oh, South Coast, that's the nice hotels there, checks out Hammer hotels online, calls a few of them, books, strike deals. Then how is she going to get there? Books in advance, knows the backups in case the train fails on the day of traveling. She can catch a flight call, confirms she can be able to do that. The bus is also an option, a number of things. Then what is she gonna shop for? So she decides, of course, for Easter holiday, it's barely clothes. So she shops minimally, but she plans. No, I need to go and get the bikinis. I need to get all these things. Plans a day when she's going to do that. So does that. Does she have the money? Oh, right now she doesn't have enough money to do the holiday. So what happens? She starts now saving. So tomorrow morning when she wakes up, and she knows exactly what she needs to do when she gets to the office. She needs to first call the hotel. She needs to do what she needs to start saving. So even when things are so hard and so tough in the office, the boss is on her case, she knows she has the idea of that holiday she's going to. So that gives her the energy to focus. So the basic idea behind that is trying to give you the two pictures where, as businesses, we have a brilliant idea. We wake up and put together the resources we have, and poof, up we go. Unlike a situation where we have a business idea and you sit down and develop some bits of planning. The difference between a normal plan and a strategic plan is the deliberateness in it, right? So you are now more deliberate of where exactly you want to go. So it is very clear in your mind. So the only difference between a strategic plan and any other plan is just the deliberateness in it. Then the other thing with strategic planning is that aspect of planning backwards. So all plans starts from the dream, from the end, and then work backwards to it, to a point where from tomorrow morning, you know exactly what needs to be done. So as Abraham Lincoln said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe, and not wasting time, sitting down and waiting. So as business owners, we need to spend some time sharpening our axes. You need to sharpen your plan before you spend too much time chopping away at day-to-day tasks. Sorry about that. Trying to manage something in my system. Okay. All right. So where would strategic plan go wrong for small businesses? Now, the most obvious mistake that small business owners make is to avoid strategic planning entirely. And the other general mistake that small business owners make, they're doing the same, apart from now not even planning, is over planning. Now, here I'm talking about putting more time and energy into the strategic planning process itself than you'll get back in terms of results. And this happens when small business owners try to follow a process designed for a much larger and a much complex organization. And it mostly leads to developing a plan that is more than what is actually needed. So over-planning can happen in a number of ways. So one of the ways where we tend to over-plan is seeking to do perfect plans, and it's an easy trap to get caught in. And understandably, of course, you want everything in your plan to be just right. You want the direction to be just right. You want your holiday that you're planning for to be the perfect holiday. You want the way to get to the holiday to be the perfect way. And you can spend a lot of time wordsmithing something like the mission statement or shuffling goals around. And the only problem is that there's nothing like a perfect plan. And now, in the current situation that we find ourselves in, we know very well that you can never have a perfect plan. I had a perfect plan. I had it all planned out in my glam site. I had all the goals, all the key aspects of the glam site, the marketing, some of the competitive advantages. I had it all planned out, and poof, COVID happens. And the worst part of it is it happened in a situation where it restricts even movements. So technically, I cannot even operate at all. So there's nothing like a perfect plan. So business owners that seek perfect plans get caught in too much endless revisions. They procrastinate and they become frustrated in the planning process. Well, a big company can be able to do that. You can use a team of experts, you can use finance writers who will fine-tune the plan. But as a small business, it would be a bit hard. So you need to feel confident in your planning, but it's never going to be perfect. And it doesn't need to be. Remember, the plan itself is not nearly as important as the conversations and agreements that are fostered in the planning process. So the other pitfall in our planning is creating a marketing document. So if you're writing your own strategic plan for your business to impress people outside the organization, you're actually asking for trouble. Those big corporates, they can publish plans that are an audience for shareholders. But for you, your plan can look and sound good, but won't be much help to you if it's lacking in substance. So there'll be opportunities later to align your branding and the marketing to your plan. So you need to develop a business plan for these potential lenders and investors, of course. And while that is important, that's not the I want to focus on a plan that will guide your business and leadership team. So the other pitfall that we have is planning for the long term. So large is the 3 to 5 years, So the right goals that will take many years to accomplish, that is too long. And 5 years for us as business, small business people is sometimes such a long time, to look into the horizon. And sometimes you don't have even enough information to look that far in the future. For my glamping business, if I sit down and start focusing on the next 5 years, I don't have that capacity to be able to understand the market trends. They change every single day. Demographics shifts every other day, and tastes keep on varying for the different consumers that we be dealing with. So things are going to change, and you'll need to make a bit of adjustments. Right now, a 3 to 6 month time period is more realistic and manageable for small businesses, because I cannot sit here and tell you that according to my big plan, I'm opening up a glam site in the next 6 months. I'm not sure even whether we'll still be where we are right now. So to summarize, trying to replicate a strategic planning process that is designed for large organization, one that has resources for day offsite meetings, those big research and market research and the big professional writers is not going to help our small businesses. We don't need a 30-page glossy plan. Just make sure that you're not in perfection or trying to predict into the future. So let's look at your business and also keep you and the team on track. So, and one is a very clear description of us and a vision of where you like to be in the future.
Okay, sorry, Tito, just a quick one. I don't know if it's just me. You seem to be breaking, and possibly it's because of the internet. I just thought I should let you know about that.
Purpose is critical because it's a foundation from which you will align your team, align your solutions and your marketing. And it fosters consensus on why. Okay, looks like I'm having a problem. So can you hear me right now?
Yes, now it's good. Carry on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah, we're good then.
Perfect.
Looks like
Carry
I'm
on.
having.
You're good now. Carry on.
All right. So these are the three things I just want us to look at in developing our business plan, our strategic plans. And the first one I mentioned is having a description of purpose and a vision. And then understanding where the business is now, and that's having a snapshot of where the business is today. And this helps to establish a baseline that will help you plan for what needs to happen next. And then a small number of actions that will help you bridge the gap between now and the future. So key steps to this is one, stating your purpose and developing your destination, which is very key. And then assessing where you are today. And then the third one is setting smart goals to plan the journey, and then putting your plan into action. So let me start with the first one on developing your purpose. So companies normally have some endless wrestling trying to come up with innovative visions and mission statements. And while this is helpful, too often they are very generic and they're filled with jargon and have little emotional impact. And sometimes we really push for a simple statement of purpose that can be just one statement, and it needs to just be the right sentence. And this purpose should be the foundation for all your planning activities. Any goals or actions that you set should be aligned with your purpose and should advance you closer to achieve it. So successful organizations understand the reason why they're founded, the reason why they exist, and the reason why they stay true to that, and they stay true to that reason. And this helps them to avoid losing the way. So purpose should be idealistic. You know, accept that all organizations exist to make people's lives better, even if it is only in a small and subtle ways. So a purpose should be that thing that you want to change and or improve the lives of the people who you target to serve as your customers and as your stakeholders. And purpose ought to be true. It should be based on the real motivations of the business's leaders, not something that sounds good on paper. You know, start by asking the question: how do we contribute to a better world? You know, I know the question sounds soft to some business owners, but it is essential to ask that at the beginning of the creative process. Because once you have an initial answer to this question, you now drill deeper by asking why. You know, why do you want to contribute to a better world? So you continue asking why until you and your team have identified the most idealistic reasons for the business. Most purpose statements will fall into a category that oriented to an area such as the customer or the industry or a greater cause or the community or even the employees. It doesn't matter which one of your business goes with, as long as it's a very accurate reflection of what is important and true to you and your colleagues. So, for example, a hospital. So, a purpose and for a hospital would be to alleviate pain and suffering in the world. All right. My strategy organization, our purpose is we exist to help small business owners to grow with purpose. So your purpose doesn't have to be perfect. So take some time with your leadership team and have an open and honest discussion following the steps above and come up with a purpose statement that resonates with your leaders, employees, and customers. Let me look at a few of some of the companies that we know and connect their purpose statement, connect their vision statement, the purpose statement with what they do now and whether you can connect with that. When you take a Coca-Cola, does it resonate to what the company is saying they stand for? Coca-Cola, to refresh the world, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness, to create value and to make a difference. Facebook, to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected, right? So something like Google, to organize the world's information and make it universally acceptable and useful, right? It is so deep, that purpose statement is so deep, so that we've coined the word, you need something, just Google it. You're sure that you'll get information that is useful and you can always access that information, doesn't matter what it is. Uber is evolving the way the world moves, by seamlessly connecting riders to drivers. Through our apps, we make cities more accessible, opening up more possibilities for riders and more business for drivers. So it cuts the two ways. One, making sure that the riders, the customers, are able to get to access the service whenever and in a very convenient and efficient manner. And the drivers are able to now make business and develop and generate an income out of it. L'Oreal, offering all women and men worldwide the best cosmetic innovation in terms of quality, efficacy, and safety. And you can also see the one for Amazon. Then, the next question that we want to look at is, we need to assess where we are today. So it's tough to plot a course if you don't know where you're starting from. And if you think of your strategic plan as a map that leads you to a destination, this step is one that helps you to plot out your starting point accurately. For example, if you're planning that nice trip to your holiday in Mombasa, it's hard to decide the first steps if you don't know from where you're leaving from, if you're not even prepared for the trip, all those things. So trying to assess where you are is very key in this. And the different tools, and there are very many tools that are used for this. We have the Pestel, we have the Porter's 5 forces. But I'll just dwell on the time-tested classic way to assess your business position. And this is the SWOT analysis. This is what I use in all my business planning, because if you've done a very good SWOT analysis, it can tell you exactly what you need to focus on. So it may sound mundane, it may sound cliche, SWOT, but it's a quick, low tech and collaborative way to learn more about your business while spotting some of the critical challenges that needs to be addressed, as well as assets to build on. So a good SWOT on your small business will bring your leaders and the big key departmental leaders and team members together. And what you'll be doing is asking them to brainstorm on your strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and threats that they foresee. Now, strengths and weaknesses. Now, these ones, always remember, these are internal. These are things that you can control. These are things that are within your realm of control. So they relate to matters concerning resources, matters concerning programs and organization in some areas to do with leadership and management, operations. Those are things that you're doing in the organization. Products and services are things that are within your control. The budget and finances, research and design, sales, cost system terms, and all the company processes. So those are the things that you dwell into and do some deep diving digging when you're doing your SWOT. The strengths and the weaknesses, those are internal within our realms of control. Now, the external threats and opportunities are those that now they confront a company. So they may exist, or they may be things that you think they will exist. And sometimes, for instance, in the situation that we are in now, some of these things you can actually not foretell that they're going to happen. What happens is when you're developing a strategic plan, and there's that thought of, I've heard someone say that there've been information about COVID for a while. I think even, it was Obama or someone who said at one time, Bill Gates, at one time the world will be in a situation where we're going to face a pandemic, and it's going to be really bad if we don't start thinking and planning about it. It's a wild statement, it's a wild thought then. But here we are. So some of the areas when you're looking at this is the economy, the industry you are in, the political situation, especially like now, like for instance, the political machinations that are happening and the impact on taxes. Public opinion, that is very key in terms of what the public perceives of your company. That can actually be one key thing that can actually drive you down out of business. Competition, that one you can't control. Technology, so these are things that you cannot control. They're happening out there. They're out of your realm. So what happens is, for opportunities, you need to identify which ones are there for you to tap and ride on and maximize. So you can have your competitive advantage and get more customers. For threats, are things that you need to develop your contingencies. So that if you're thinking about things like some crazy competition to come from your competitors, so you need to develop some contingency and plans on how you're going to handle that. And those who are avid readers here, if you look, you can actually make it a habit to have a look at the Sun Tzu Art of War. It's one of those really nice books that helps you, navigate the external environment, how to foretell and be ready for them. So, as you can see from the table above, this is one of the things that you're going to use with your group or with yourself or on your own to try and answer the four aspects of SWOT. The strengths you wear, what we do especially well, what advantages do we have as a company, what valuable assets and resources do we have, and what do members or customer identify as our strengths. And one thing I want to note is there is no harm in engaging people who are in your industry, out of your industry, but who know your organization, so that you can have some objective input into your SWOT. It doesn't harm to ask someone who knows your company, what do you think we could do better? You know, what from outside there, what do you think are our weaknesses? Because that informs you what needs to be done. There are different ways of getting this information. You can use the information or what you know. You can have some objective research. So the different aspects of doing this. Then opportunities, you know, what do we know? What opportunities do we know about and we have not been able to address? Threats, things like are our competitors doing anything different? You know, and you note that opportunities are things that you cannot control. They are happening or might happen out there. So you just need to figure out how to build your contingencies on them. Is technology dramatically changing the sector and services to it? So that now makes you now start developing your structures and systems in terms of how to adopt to technology. Then you have your purpose in hand and you have a snapshot of where your business stands today. So you're ready to plan what happens next. So this is now the next step. And the goals and actions that you choose to design will guide where you prioritize your business efforts and resources over the coming months. As with the purpose and the SWOT exercises, this is another opportunity to engage the leaders in your company and colleagues in the planning process. So some of the questions that you get them to ask to answer is, what are the top 3 goals and actions that will lead us towards our purpose by leveraging on the strengths that we have, shoring up our weaknesses, taking advantage of the opportunities that we have, and building contingencies of the threats that face us. So reflect on the themes drawn from the SWOT as a starting point. And that's why I say the SWOT analysis is one of the key aspects of any strategic planning, because that's where you're able to see and know which direction you need to start focusing on. For example, if through your SWOT, your team identifies our weaknesses of lost productivity due to old and outdated technology system, it makes sense to draft a goal around improving or replacing that system, you know, implementing a workaround or changing the underlying process. So the initial version of that goal, so the systems are weak and you're using old and outdated systems. So one possible goal of this would be to improve our productivity by fixing our technology issues. So that is our goal, you know, amongst the many goals that will come on SWOT. So let's dwell on this. So your goal now is to improve your productivity by fixing. And once you come up with a list of the goals, you narrow your list to 3-5 key goals that you want to focus as priority for your business. And as a team, as a business owner, you can ask your team to vote on which are the most important, or you can choose them yourself. Why I'm bringing up this point is because of where we are headed on business agility. Because agility is about getting to have others play an input into this whole process, so that you're able to adjust and adapt. But I'm getting to that. So this step now. So now, when you have identified the goal that you want, you need to make it smart. So smart is needs to be specific, needs to be measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So for our initial goal to improve our productivity by fixing our technology issues, the SMART goal here will be to improve our productivity by 10% by replacing our customer relationship management system within 4 months. All right. So that one now becomes a SMART goal because it is very specific. It's specific to what you do, what you want to do. So you'll use action words. It's measurable. It gives you a way to evaluate how far you're achieving that target, the 10%, and then use metrics or data targets, and then it's achievable. It's within your scope. So it's possible to accomplish, and it's attainable, it's relevant, it makes sense within your job function, and then it will actually improve your business. And lastly, it's time bound. It's not enough unless there's a time limit to it. Right? So it's always helpful to break down each goal into a specific tactical action item that you can easily assign and track. Let's look at a few examples of SMART goals. So I just pick like two. So you're going to a point where now you need to win 6 new business accounts before the end of the second quarter. All right. So specific, 6. So 6 new business accounts. Measurable, we know we get to 6. So we need to have 12 proposals, 24 pitches, and 48 warm prospects. All right. So to get your 6, since now you've registered with your team, our target is to get 6. So what you need to do, you need to send out 12 proposals, 12 proposals. You need to have 24 pitches and you need to have 48 warm prospects. Achievability. So last year, we averaged 5 new business accounts during the same time frame, and we have been growing at 20%. So this revised goal feels achievable, given that we know how we have been performing for the last few years. Relevant, the number and size of the accounts we win each quarter tied directly to our top and bottom lines. And then time bound, it's within the second quarter. Now, let me just pick one, and then the rest it's just for the presentation purposes. So pay off 2 million in business debt within 3 months. All right, is one of the goals, and that would be a goal that comes out of the fact that one of your weaknesses is you're tied down. Your cash flow is tied down by the debts your business have. So how specific is it? You're paying off 2 million. How measurable is it? You can measure your progress by monitoring your cash accounts as you go, and you'll break it down or track it to month by month. You know how well you'll pay month per month, and then you can actually track it and have someone make sure that is done. Achievable. Well, you can achieve this by spending less on growth goal-related items, and you'll work to encourage vendors to pay on time and in full. So you see, what happens is this now triggers other aspects of it. So when you have that goal, you now drop down to develop specific activities to it. Okay. Then relevant with we'll highlight low-cost development opportunities and project opportunities throughout the year that can increase the revenue of the organization, and happen within 3 months. So the last one, as it's not enough to dream, it's not enough to plan and do all those things. Action is where it matters. And one of the key failures of strategic plans is that most of them end up the plan, the document, and everything. But execution, as Mike Tyson, till they get punched in the mouth. All right. So now, when leaders are able to think strategically and communicate the importance of the process, it helps an organization in a number of things. So it will help in building a direction for your organization, to help differentiate your products and services. It helps you make better decisions and communicating your clear business vision. And actually, right now, as you're going through what we are going, just as that guy who is on the trip to their dream holiday in Mombasa, things happen along the way. COVID happens, right? While you're focusing on restructuring, while you're focusing on cutting costs, while you're focusing on reviewing or diversifying your product range, never lose sight of the vision of the destination that you want your business to get to. So that's why this is key, because what it does, it helps keep everyone focused and continuing to push, because there's a direction, there's a destination, there's a Mombasa. So when the bus got a flat and things happened along the way, this guy now tried and of course got a ride from some guys who were transferring some poles, electrical poles, and he got a lift, got to a particular place, had to spend a night somewhere. But the reason why he didn't turn back is because he was going for this dream holiday. So that's the key importance of having that vision well drilled in your organization and as a culture within all the people who are working with you. Business agility. So the strategic planning is about a linear process, and I've told you that the steps, the set of steps where there's a definite start and an end, and some short-term goals that you'll develop, and we say you don't have to make them long-term. And this one is normally done by management, and though the organizations that actually try to bring in other staff members to be part of it. So it encompasses both traditional and logical ways of thinking, and typically involves analyzing data and defining a goal. But does this process always end up in favorable results? Well, in today's increasing uncertain business climate, that has been a question that we have been asking. does most strategic plan do most strategic plans get you to your dream holiday, to the Mombasa, the dream holiday that you've been thinking about, right? Because so much is happening along the way in our businesses. So after developing your plan, you need to start building a culture of strategic thinking. And this one is a concept that is a bit fluid. It is not so linear as the process of developing the plan itself. And it's a concept that encourages creativity, investigation, and intuition in decision making. So it allows us to be more adaptive where planning is not practical. And at now, strategic planning and practicability go hand in hand, given the situation that we are going through. So we now have been propagating and calling for business agility. And agility is the ability of business systems to rapidly respond to change by adapting the initial stable configuration, right? In the business context, agility is the ability of an organization to rapidly adapt to the market and environmental changes in a productive and a cost-effective way. So strategic agility is the capacity of your business, as it is, to sense change in the environment and adapt in a way that continually builds value for your customer. So it composes things like sensing change in the industry. It encompasses things like sensing change in your supply chain. It encompasses things like sensing change in your customers. It requires a different way of thinking and living. And so important is business agility that learning from a continuous process of discipline experimentation feeds back up to the high-level elements of the strategy. So that aspect of always continuing and monitoring what is happening in the environment, it gets to a point where it feeds back to the top level of the strategy, the vision, and even the major goals and priorities that you have as an organization. And it will actually lead to a modification of this. So why does business agility matter more than ever? Why is it something that we are talking about a lot more now? Well, today's competitive environment is in a state of perpetual acceleration, and it's unlikely to ever slow down. Even before the COVID pandemic, the business environment has become so rapidly changing, so volatile. And these have been brought about by so many factors, including even the new modern media, the digital media, and all those things, and the impact on marketing and communication of our businesses. Then the pace, the scale, and the breadth of technology has changed over the past few decades, and this has created a ground for innovation. And this ground, it has changed the way a company now succeeds. And one of the most disruptive and forward-thinking market leaders today aren't the ones who are most creative thinking or who have the deepest pockets. No, the businesses that are winning big today are the ones that are most agile, those that can anticipate and respond to change the fastest. But I need you to note, becoming agile is more than simply acting quickly and managing loosely. Saying that you be quick to act and you're super nimble. These are recipe for chaos. It might sound counterintuitive, but business agility is really about having the right controls to properly manage and measure your change. And that comes down to how you do your plan. So business agility is just operationalized flexibility. So it's flexibility that is operationalized, that is a bit more organized. So it means that you can seize new opportunities. It means that you can quickly adapt to new conditions without disruption. And it means some lateral kind of freedom, so that the different business components, the big departments, they can work autonomously. All right. So the different aspects of their business, if it is sales, if it is the product development, they can work autonomously and make some decisions at their level while still supporting the central strategy. So here I'm trying to draw a parallel between strategic planning, developing your strategic plan, developing your vision, your goals and everything, and execution that feeds back into the overall strategy that you already had developed. For most of the 20th century, business planning was centralized. It has always been a top-down activity. So once a year, some senior finance and executive guys would meet. They define the goals, they plan activities, and they allocate resources towards them. But the result was some monolithic corporate strategy that has been cascaded down, right? And this was really okay and good when the market was predictable. And it's not really something that is effective when it comes to our small businesses. So, put simply, business agility or agile planning is a planning that needs to include the voices across the whole businesses more often and in greater detail. And just to give an example when it comes to business agility, let me give an example. I'm going to take an example of an Uber business. You have an Uber business, you have your own strategy of growth, your own strategy of what needs to be done, and you have the drivers on the ground. Now, we're in the situation we are in today, and your Uber business finds itself in a situation where they're not able to get as many customers as they're able to get right now, right? Given the fact that the guys lockdown, guys are working from home and all those things. But your guy knows your company direction. The focus is on how the targets and how you're going to do it. But your organization is in a position it's such that it is agile to a point where the driver can make some basic decisions, and you have given them leeway to do that depending on how the market is looking. All right. So it gets to a situation where he knows a particular company is what do you call this? It's an essential service company, and he just decides, from this time and this time, I'll just go and focus on waiting from that point, because there I'm sure I'm gonna get bookings and all those things. So this might go against what your company is focused on, and which is being in a particular area or something like that. So that aspect of giving some leeway to decision making to the people who are on the front office, to the people who are now actually what do you call it? The closest to the eventual outcomes. More autonomy is what now business agility is all about. And in an agile organization, decisions are made at the lowest level by the people who are doing the work and have the most information. So, most significantly, everyone in the business works towards the same overreaching goal. But now, that goal that you set in the company, but they will be doing it with more freedom to self-organize, more freedom to self-optimize, and with the capacity to respond to change, right? So this business agility is what we normally call active planning. So you're planning actively, and what that does is the circumstances that change on the ground are good enough to be feedback to guys at the higher level in the organization to make them adjust the goals that the organization has. But don't forget, the vision remains the same, right? So it's just a different way and an efficient way of getting to where you want to go, led by the actual guys who are on the front line. So active planning, which is now the business agility, it's inclusive, it's data-driven, and it's two-way. It's a top-down and a bottom-up way of doing things. It's centralized and it's distributed, and it's prescriptive and open. And it works best when the whole enterprise is empowered to speak clearly, listen closely, and work autonomously. All right. So while we're talking about having the big strategy and what needs to be done and the direction and the goals and everything, that strategy is set in a way that it can integrate feedback from the ground depending on how changes are happening at the ground level. So there'll be more frequency in terms of looking and reviewing and analyzing the performance of your SMART goals, and then there'll be a lot more data that will be fed up to see whether you're reaching your goals, and there'll be less instincts in terms of what you feel or what you think. This one is more data driven. So the world isn't going to slow down, and markets aren't going to get less competitive. So traditional static planning is quickly proving to be incompatible with the rapidly accelerating and fast-changing business environment. And when talking about business agility, is where an organization like you as a small businesses can think fast, move fast, and change rapidly, but still maintain your control and your stability. And in the long term, and probably even before then, business agility is not going to be just a nice to have thing. You know, that capacity of making a business be able to respond to change from the front lines. No, it will be a significant differentiator. It will be actually a competitive advantage. It's going to be the deciding factor between businesses that survive and businesses that wish they had. All right? So don't forget the new model of business agility is active planning. So to sum up, implementing a strategic plan must incorporate efforts to enhance business agility, to wade through uncertain times, unpredictable times, and ensuring that your business survives, and also to give your company a competitive advantage. You have to make sure that you are able to make decisions fast, and you're able to make sure your organization is nimble. So business agility is one of the key components of strategic planning, and it comes in now when you're implementing your key strategy. So thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. Tito, thank you so much for that. I mean, honestly, I think it was quite a bit, and I did have some parting shots, but I would like to take a quick, excuse me, pulse check as well at this point as we kind of come to a close on your take home from this process, because for me, I was a bit mind blown by the idea. I mean, to be honest, the fact that you're small and you can change rapidly, for me, it's true. I've never thought of it as a strategic advantage or a competitive advantage. So it's kind of nice to have that put in the forefront. So thank you so much. Just a quick pulse check. We had one question from Dr. Kagwe. Waru, are you still there?
Yes, we had one question. And Tito, thank you very much for your presentation. Dr. Margaret Kagwe wanted to find out, are there situations that may call for more than one strategic plan, especially when uncertainty is very high?
Okay, now, when you're developing a strategic plan, you have to understand that the reason why you're doing that plan. Sorry, I was trying to confirm whether my mic is on. So different strategic plans are developed for different reasons. You can come up with a strategic plan to address a particular situation that you're having, or you can come up with a plan to address a direction that the leader wants everyone to focus on, right? So you can come up, you can have, the whole idea behind this is you have your Mombasa, and that is where you're headed. So that should really change, because once you change the destination, now everything becomes messed up. But in between the journey, you can develop different strategies to address different issues that you think are not making you achieve some of the goals that you have set towards the final destination. So yes, you can have some different strategies for the different aspects of the goal.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tito, for that. I just want to look around the room. Rehab, what's been your take home from this session? Yes, Rehab? Rehab, are you there? Okay. I think perhaps she's not. Anybody who would like to share with us their take home for this session, because I think it was quite informative. Maybe we could have just one or two people tell us what's been their take home.
Hi, Nori.
Hi, Dr. Kagwe, go for it.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. The presenter was awesome. One of the things I find myself doing a lot is actually believing that I'll come up with little plans as I unfold my businesses. And I always find myself in a situation where I can't do something because of overlooking planning, long-term planning. I appreciate the fact that he was focusing on me a lot of the times, because I think it's important to plan. Even if you're going to Mombasa, plan where you are visiting, plan what maybe you required, the amount of money will be required, because a lot of us do business the kienyeji way. And then you find yourself very stuck and you don't know how to go ahead. So thank you so much, presenter. That was very, very good. And I think you have really molded me. As much as I was driving at some point, I have really understood where I go wrong. Thank you so much, Noreen, also.
Gosh, thank you so much. Yes, CPA Frida? Hi.
Yes, yeah, I would want to say thank you to Tito. That was a lovely discussion, especially on strategy. This is something every business needs to have in place. My take home today is that having a strategy is one thing and implementing is another thing. So there is a need for conscious decision and consistency on how we follow up on our strategy. And we have no choice but to have strategies in our business if we have to survive. So thank you, Tito, for that beautiful presentation. And thank you, Noreen.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, CPA Frida, for sharing your insights. I don't know if there's somebody else who would like to just weigh in. Okay, yes, Jacinta, please carry on.
Can you hear me? Two thoughts. Let me start with the second one. So in terms of, because I understand, and my take home is that agility and stability go hand in hand. So let's focus on the stability. How then do you stay stable? So you will need a stable backbone. And I need to bring in four things. People. People, you need to do something we call group dynamics. You need to have all the thinkers and the doers, because the thinkers can be chaotic. They can just be thinking throughout the year. But then for consistency and for stability, you need to balance your team, have doers and have thinkers. You need structure. A very solid structure in your business so that you do not get lost in the chaos. You will need also very strong governance, and you will need processes. So four things for a stable backbone: people, structure, governance, and processes. And then my take home is just to stay agile. You need intellectual curiosity. You need to constantly be doing surveillance, always looking around. So you cannot afford to settle. You don't arrive. You don't at any point think you got this thing right. So intellectual curiosity all the time. Find out what's going on and have, again, in your team, very street smart, have those people in your team, and also have a very consistent people in the team so that you can balance between stability and agility. And and that story for Mombasa, okay, let me not go there, because then again, this becomes another Tito, so I'll stop there. But thank you, that was very good information, compressed to fit a very small time frame, but also very impactful. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jacinta. Thank you very, very much for that. I just want to, I don't know if there's any, I think we're running out of time, so let me not, invite more, but I would like to thank you so much, ladies and gents, for coming. I think this was a learning experience for all of us. I'm sure there's something that you took home from this experience that you possibly didn't have prior. And I want to just thank Tito, just to give you guys a frame. I found out about FK being sick literally yesterday at 6 p.m. And I called Tito at 6 p.m. and I told him, Tito, it's an SOS, I need you to come through. And in a few hours, Tito has managed to give us the ins and outs of strategy, its relevance in today's life, in today's business, in today's economy, in today's frame. And I cannot begin to thank you, Tito, for just coming through for us, coming through for this session, being able to give us, insights and different tools that we can utilize in formulating our strategy and really sparking up our strategic thinking on how do we actually frame our businesses. What is the way forward? Where are we? Where do we want to go? And what does that look like for me, for my business, for my life? So thank you very much, Tito Tadeo. It was absolutely amazing. So just as a parting shot, number one, take time to sharpen your axe. That's, I think, one of the things I have learned from here. Ensure that you're very clear on your purpose for your business and ask the right questions. Never lose sight of your destination, the vision, the things you need to do. And in terms of business agility, being aware, as Jacinta has said, being aware of your environment, being intellectually curious of the environment and responding accordingly. And as he was talking about the fact, the idea of changing adaptability, what came to mind is the Darwin principle, where it's not the fastest, not the fittest, but those most adaptable to change will survive. However, we need to incorporate operational flexibility without dysfunction. And we also need to constantly active plan. And depending on those people in the lower levels, because they are the frontliners, to give us insights on what we require to change. A top-down approach, yet a bottom-up approach, and being able to balance the two. So in the interest of time, ladies and gents, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you to our session partners, Netanjema, Sia Consultancy, Final Play, Startup Grind, Kiambu. It's really awesome to have you all here. And unfortunately, we have to do a quick stop, but it's really, really lovely to be here. So I am looking forward to speaking with you guys soon. So CPA Frida might be working on something to do with finance. She is our, we call her our cloud accountant, yeah? And many more things regarding finance. So CPA Frida will be taking us through this session in the next 2 weeks. Remember, it's a fortnight session where we leverage and we learn on each other. Tito, again, asanti sana. Mungu akubariki, and we shall be seeing you hopefully very soon. So until then, guys, thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.